on this episode of the Clip Service Podcast. Not exactly the crash out that we had last episode, but we still touch on some stuff that is, tugging at our not I was gonna say tugging at our heartstrings, but that is not the right use of that. It's really making us frustrated, guys. Clipper fans are in the absolute mud right now, in the trenches, and the Clippers are 4-10. So the Clippers did take one win, which we'll talk about. But yeah, it's been really, really sad, and there's been a lot of problems, and we talk about all of that, guys. So if you love all of that, we got it for you coming up. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clipper Nation? And welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. Make sure to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube.
Rola's bringing out his demon
And
voice.
you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rolla. This is my co-host, Nick. Let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it, indeed. That's how we feel, guys. That's how.
Feeling a little silly.
That's well. I mean, it's the dread. It's the dread aspect of it that really epitomizes how the Clippers have started this season. The Clippers currently sit at 4-10, which is just insane to even say. But the Clippers have 4 wins this season out of the last 14 games. We touched on it a lot last episode. We're not going to harp on it too much. But, I mean, things are just getting worse and worse, dude. Things are just getting worse and worse. Well, actually, I take that back. Things are just, consistently as bad as they were. Because there are some bright spots that we'll get into.
Things got worse, dude.
But there have been some bright spots that we will get into. For sure, that I've been excited about. Well, not excited because nothing's been exciting so far this season, but things that I've been like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, we'll get into that in recaps. But yeah, to sum it all up, guys, that's pretty much it. Before we get into recaps, I wanted to preface that with Bradley Beal did suffer a hip injury, as we know, missed I think a game or two. During the Suns, I think the second of the Suns games. We didn't know the severity of it last time we had talked, but we did get a verdict, and Bradley Beal fractured his hip, and he is out for the season, which is... Okay, with the Bradley Beal thing, he obviously wasn't playing up to even a percentage of what we had hoped we would see from Bradley Beal. I think the knee procedure that he got this offseason was a factor. He was dealing with some lower back soreness. And then, obviously, with the hip, he wasn't playing up to snuff, but you had to assume that he was going to get better at some point this season, and the Clippers were going to have to count on him to just even provide like a small bit of what we were missing when we traded away Norm. And that's impossible now because Bradley Beal is out for the season. I feel for Brad. It sucks. But it did not come without a silver lining. Chris Dunn was inserted into the starting lineup after that news broke, which was something that I had just hoped to see the Clippers get back to their defensive identity, and Chris Dunn is obviously a big recipe in that formula. Or a big ingredient in that formula. So Ty Lue switched up the starting lineups to correspond with that news. And so pretty much from that point on, the Clippers were rolling out a lineup of James Harden, Chris Dunn, Derek Jones, John Collins, and Zoo, which was actually a lineup that I had been really wanting to see consistently. So that was a bright spot. I don't know. What is your 2 cents on the Brad Beal injury?
I feel like it's pretty devastating, just because, we were expecting Bradley Beal to kind of be that third guy for us.
Yeah, or the fourth guy, like
Yeah.
even.
Well, so I was actually thinking about this while I was taking a shower earlier. And, it seems that, every year, right, we expect Kawhi to get injured, right? And I think the front office also has that expectation, like being realistic. The odds are that Kawhi is more likely to get injured and miss time than he is not to. And,
Sure.
you know, in every previous year from now, we've had someone to step up into that scoring option. Last year we had Norman Powell. Before Norman Powell, we had Reggie Jackson. Before Reggie Jackson, we had Lou Will. So we had like those scorers to step in and kind of fill that gap that Kawhi would leave. And Bradley Beal was supposed to be that for us this season. So I think that, like in previous years, Norm Powell would go off and, we'd be winning these types of like little games that we're losing now. And Bradley Beal was supposed to be that for us, kind of step into that spot and win us those winnable games, like the ones against the Hawks, maybe even one against the Suns. But, kind of, with him being out for the season, we don't really have that person. So it's kind of a little frustrating and unfortunate that we don't have Bradley Beal to be there to be that guy for us. But like you said, there is a silver lining where I don't think it's Chris Dunn, but I think it's our young players getting
Somebody
I think it's
else,
our young
yeah.
players getting a chance to actually step onto the floor because now there's like playing time. I don't think Chris Dunn is that guy for us just because I think he's so hindered offensively that
Sure.
like his defense doesn't really make up for what he lacks on offense because our opponent's defense they don't really give a fuck about him and basically just double team Harden because Harden is really our only offensive option like consistently. Like if we're being real, it's like him and Zoo.
No, you're so right, dude. You're so right.
Because Chris Dunn is so bad offensively, like it gives our opponents almost like a cop out to guard James Harden with more bodies.
Sure.
And that's kind of where I'm at with the Bradley Beal news. I guess it's just like I said. I do think we're in a worse spot than we were at the last.
Yeah.
episode.
No, I mean you certainly make a good point. Bradley Beal to me was always going to be a luxury for the Clippers. For the people out there that say that the Clippers traded away Norman Powell to get Bradley Beal, that is not the case at all. The Clippers traded away Norman Powell to get John Collins, who fit a need that the Clippers hadn't had. An athletic, vertical threat at the power forward spot, can stretch the floor. Bradley Beal was added, because of the budget that he was signed at, and he was always going to be a luxury. But that's still the point still stands that it is a big hit. Bradley Beal at his peak, even though he's not the player that he used to be, or not his peak, but at his best in 2025, could still be a guy that can give you 12, 13, 14, 15 points a game. And we don't have any of that now. So also, secondary ball handler, and those those shortcomings for the Clippers have been drastically accentuated in his absence too. So, but yeah, let's just jump right now that we've gotten that out of the way. Let's jump right into the first of the three losses that we're going to cover. First of which being at the hands of the Denver Nuggets. And before I get into the box score, I just want to say normally this would be a game that Roland and I would both say, hey, you know what? The Clippers took the loss. Nikola Jokic had 55. Chalk it up to just playing a really good team. Clippers haven't, figured it out yet. But the fact that the Clippers took this start to the season so they didn't take advantage of it, that the start of the season and the easier schedule early on, that games like this, you can't even say that, oh, it's a better opponent. You just have to chalk up wins. And so the Clippers end up losing this one 130 to 116. Me and my buddy Connor, who has joined our podcast a couple of times, we went to this game and the traffic was so bad. We were in about 2 hours of traffic from Woodland Hills to to the Intuit Dome, which shouldn't take that long, but traffic was really bad. Couldn't find parking. There was an issue at Intuit Dome. The parking had sold out. It was just a shit show. Basically, we didn't get into our seats until about halftime, a minute before halftime. And so I was just going based off of the highlights, and I was like, okay, Kobe Sanders is playing. Jordan Miller's playing. The Clippers are up. Clippers look really good. We take our seats at halftime hoping for another show. We did see that Nikola Jokic had 33 points at the half, but we're saying, okay, we survived the Nikola Jokic barrage. Clippers are up. So we felt pretty good watching the second half of the game, and unfortunately, it was just more of the same bullshit that we have been dealing with on the way to Intuit Dome. So that was horrible to watch. The highlight of the night was a kid ran onto the floor during the game and was juking like 3 or 4 security guards. That was stupid, but it was cool to watch. It was fun. It was the most hustle we've seen from anybody that wasn't on the Nuggets that whole night. That whole second half.
I disagree with that. I disagree. But
okay.
What
do you got to say about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me quickly get into the box score. So Nikola Jokic, 55 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. Nikola Jokic was fantastic in this one, as he tends to be from time to time. He was great. The Jamal Murray was really quiet. The Clippers did a pretty good job on him in the first half. Second half, as Jamal Murray tends to do, hit some big shots. Was only 1 for 5 from 3, but Jamal Murray, he's a fourth quarter guy, and he really put the hammer down on the Clippers. Aaron Gordon was fantastic again, as he tends to be against the Clippers. It was just the usual suspects from the Nuggets. On the Clippers side of things, James Harden had 23 points, 6 for 15 from the field. Zoo had 18 points, 9 rebounds. I was really hoping that Zoo would have a really dominant game in this one, because he tends to play really well against the Nuggets, particularly when matched up against Nikola Jokic. But that didn't happen. It wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. Only 18 points. The second leading scorer was actually Jordan Miller off the bench with 22, 6 for 10 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3. Jordan Miller looked really, really solid in this one. It was a +4. He looked great. Aside from that, really underwhelming performance. Really bad game from John Collins, only 2 points. Up to this point, and a couple games after that, John Collins had really been struggling since being inserted into the starting lineup. He was really good off the bench. For whatever reason, was inserted into the starting lineup and didn't have that same pop of energy. Couldn't hit the shots that he was hitting when he was coming off the bench. But yeah, just an unfortunate loss to a team that you would normally take that loss on the chin, but you don't have that luxury at this point. Rolla, what are your takeaways from this mess?
Yeah, so I guess going back, I really liked what I saw from Kobe Sanders. Young dude. Honestly,
yeah, Kobe Sanders was featured in this one.
Yeah,
for the first time.
I thought he played with a lot of heart, played hard. 3 of 7, but he wasn't afraid to take his shots. Played 25 minutes, 9 points, 3 assists. I felt like he came in, had a lot of energy. And then also Jordan Miller, he balled out 22 points. Just like the young guys coming off of the bench where they usually are, and really making a name for themselves. Unfortunately, Cam Christie only played 6 minutes because Ty Lue gave so much time to Kobe Sanders and Jordan Miller, who were honestly really locked in and really balling. So I enjoyed seeing that. Outside of those 2 players, I was absolutely disgusted at the gameplay from the Clippers. From the start of the game, Jokic was.
Yeah, see, I didn't see the first half, so you gotta give a synopsis.
He was just going
of that.
off. He was hitting every shot. I mean, this dude went 18 of 23 from the field, dude.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly. 14 from 16 from the free throw line. Did he get too many free throws? Maybe, but
5 of 6 from 3. You know what that means? Those shots weren't contested. Those 3-point shots weren't contested.
That's not necessarily true.
No, I felt like a lot of his shots weren't contested. I felt like Zoo was playing soft. Brook Lopez was playing soft. The Clippers as a whole, outside of those two players I mentioned, were just completely. It felt like they were out of it. Ty Lue, who to me has been having one of the worst coaching seasons I've seen in a minute, from a decently rostered team, had a horrible game plan of quote unquote letting Jokic score, but he didn't know that Jokic was going to score that many points. To think that just letting Jokic score and thinking he wasn't going to score that many points. This is is he a 3-time MVP or a 4-time MVP? I think he's a three.
I want to say he only won it twice, MVP.
I feel like he's a 3-time. Anyways, this is a multi-MVP of the league. This dude consistently gets triple doubles. This dude he's a champion. He knows how to break apart a team. If your game plan is to cut off, his assists or whatever, like at least play some sort of defense. 55 points is absolutely insane. If you're giving him open shots, if you're giving him easy shots, he's going to hit them. 18 of 23, he missed 5 shots the entire game.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Dude, like these are 7-footers. Zoo is a 7-footer.
So you felt like the defense was soft, because there's sometimes where Nikola Jokic is just in the vortex and he can't miss a shot.
No,
dude. Do you really think that first half it was just poor defense?
I straight up thought it was the whole game, dude. I mean, at the end of the game, they took him out.
Well, no, I know about the second half.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the game, they took him out, and they just brought him back in for shits and gigs because he was just having a fucking good old time. Swear to God. I mean, you were at the game, dude.
Yeah, that was kind of just insulting to watch. Insulting. Oh, Jokic comes back in to play against the Clipper bench.
Imagine your best player. He was already at 50 points, by the way. Like, he had nothing to play for. Yeah. They were just like, oh, like this is. The Clippers were playing so soft. Their coach was like, this isn't even going to risk his fucking health, dude. This is just him playing against fucking children. Let him go out there. And he goes out there and hits easy layup, hits free throws. Yeah. Like, come on, man. This was embarrassing from the Clippers, bro. They didn't want it. It's kind of been the theme this year, so wasn't really surprising. But let's just move on from this one. It was pretty frustrating.
Let's move on from this one. This was the last game at Intuit Dome before the Clippers set off on their 7-game road trip. Clipper fans, a lot of Clipper fans, including myself, did not feel good about the Clippers' chances going on this road trip. But the very thinnest of silver linings appeared to start the road trip, and that was, and I say thin, very firmly, because this is not. Basically, the Clippers take a 133-127 win against the Dallas Mavericks, who have still only won 3 games this season, in double overtime. This game had to go to double overtime. So basically the synopsis of this one was, this game was played in Dallas. DJ and John Collins started out pretty good attacking the rim early. And all 5 starters got on the board, within the first 5 minutes or so. Kobe Sanders checks in the game yet again. He's the first of the young guys to check in the game. He contributed a bit. But the Clippers got up to a 15-point lead in the first quarter. It was dwindled down to 5. It was just like a weird game of runs. But before I get too much more in detail on what coalesced in the game, I wanted to go over the box score to kind of give you guys some context. So James Harden led the Clippers in scoring in this one. I believe led the game in scoring with 41, 13 for 25 from the field, 6 for 12 from 3, 9 for 11 from the free throw line. 14 rebounds and 11 assists. I believe in this game he was the oldest player to have a 40-point triple-double in NBA history. James Harden put the team on his back in this one. Obviously, it shouldn't have gone to that point. But as I said before, the Clippers need to find any way that they can to take these wins, and James Harden was fantastic down the stretch. He beats Zubats with 27 and 11 rebounds. pretty good game from Zoo. Had some mental mistakes in this one, but overall a pretty solid game from Zoo. Did have the 5 turnovers, which having more turnovers than James Harden as a center, it should never happen. But that did happen. 15 from Derrick Jones, pretty solid in his starting role. 21 from Bogey. Bogey was pretty solid in this one. Obviously, we probably shouldn't have needed the scoring output that we got from Bogey late down the stretch. The Clippers should have put this one away. But like I said, it was a game of runs. The Clippers got up to a double-digit leads, and then they would kind of piss it away. Klay Thompson decided to have a good game in this one. It was just frustrating down the stretch. Basically, the fourth quarter consisted of D'Angelo Russell and James Harden trading buckets. The biggest thing for me in this one was, and I believe I texted Roll about it after the game, down the stretch, it became, for both teams, the hot hand was the only one doing the heavy lifting on offense. On the Clipper side, it was James Harden. On the Dallas side, it was D'Angelo Russell. And everybody else kind of didn't contribute. Derrick Jones, Chris Dunn, Nico Batum all missing, John Collins all missing wide open threes. And James Harden was finding these guys, and it's just brick after brick. And it was amazing that James Harden got to 41 points in this one because of those missed shots, they were able to throw doubles and triples at James Harden, and he just said, you know what, I'm going to try and take us to the win. And that's what happened. But like I said before, this game went to a double overtime. And that just shouldn't happen against this Dallas team. I know that the Clippers are without Kawhi Leonard and Bradley Beal, and James Harden is fatigued. He's having to play, these heavy minutes. But my goodness, like down the stretch, we got to get some contributions from the other guys. And I'm not saying that James Harden was without fault in this one. He was definitely, there were moments where he was taking ill-advised shots and he turned the ball over a couple of times at inopportune times. But I think a big theme down the stretch of these games is we need more from our other guys, just in terms of hitting easy shots. I don't expect Nico Batum to put the ball on the deck and take a guy off the dribble, or Chris Dunn to be a sniper from 3. But the other guys really have to make the defense pay, because James Harden is going to run out of steam before Kawhi Leonard can even come back if he's going to get all of these double teams and triple teams, because nobody else can hit a shot. Like Brook Lopez is shooting horribly from 3. Like nobody else is contributing on offense except for our young guys, in spurts and stuff. But I don't know. What are your takeaways from this one, Rolla? Because like it was awesome to take the win. Don't get me wrong, but like it shouldn't have to come to that, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I wasn't happy with the win. I mean, this is a game, like you said, we were up by 15. Towards the end of the game, this is kind of similar to the Pelicans game that where they kind of smelled us kind of losing energy, losing that want to win, and then they started to chip away and come back until the very end of the game. And that was the case in this game. We were up, and then in the fourth quarter, they just started to hit shots, and we started to miss every shot, and they started to hit every shot, and they came back, and we got lucky that we didn't win this. We didn't lose this game in regulation, and then in double overtime, honestly, James Harden kind of just had to take over, like you said, and it was basically the James Harden versus D'Angelo Russell show.
D'Angelo Russell, who had 28.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a great win. I'm glad that we got, one win out of nine games.
Are the Clippers undefeated in the NBA Cup games?
I'm not sure.
I think they might be. Because the first one was against the Pelicans, I believe. The second one was this one. I don't know if they've played a third one. So we have that going for us. We might win this fucking Emirates Cup, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the game overall, it was cool, I guess. I like seeing James Harden go off, but it just felt like no one wanted to win. It felt like the Clippers didn't want it, which I do have a comment to make, kind of after we finish these recaps, but felt like the team as a whole didn't want it at all, and James Harden had to take over.
It's just
that was kind of.
Yeah, it's just it's the missed shots. I mean, I'm gonna go down the line real quick before we move on to the next one. John Collins 0 for 3 from 3. Derek Jones 0 for 3 from 3. James Harden 6 for 12. James Harden shot 50%. Great. Chris Dunn 1 for 6. 1 for 5 from Nico Batum. 0 for 1 from Brook Lopez. Bogey did catch fire late in that third and early in the fourth. He was 5 for 8. Really good stuff from Bogey. But 0 for 1 from Jordan Miller. 0 for 3 from Kobe Sanders. Man, you can't expect to win a game when the team shoots 31% from 3 and 6 of those threes were from James Harden.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It was just like Roland and I both said, it's good to get the wins because Clippers need every single one of those. But it's just the moral victories and stuff like that are very hard to come by nowadays, or for this Clipper team. And so I don't know. We're gonna move on to the next one. But great win against the Nuggets. Clippers are, we think, 2-0 in the Emirates Cup games. Whoop-de-doo. So the next game was against the Boston Celtics. Obviously, this one was going to be a little bit difficult. They did not have Jason Tatum, as we all know. He's out probably for the season after the torn Achilles. But they still have Jaylen Brown. They still have Derek White. They still have Peyton Pritchard. All guys that love to destroy the Clippers every chance that they get. And that's kind of what happened. 121 Boston to 118 Clippers. This game ended up becoming really, really close down the stretch. The Clippers came back from, I believe, down 24 to cut the game within 3 and had the chance to tie it at the buzzer. That was pretty cool. I don't know what it is about the Boston Celtics. Whenever the Clippers are injured, I remember last season there was a game where nobody was available and Derek Jones almost single-handedly beat a full strength Boston team. I don't know why that's the case, but that was cool to see down the stretch. This was the first game of a back-to-back. So it was unfortunate that the Clippers had to play the heavy minutes that they did. 38 minutes from James Harden, 34 from Zoo, 30 from John Collins. Going down the box score, 37 from James Harden. Again, James Harden, kind of had to don a cape and try and put the team on his back. He was really inefficient, 9 for 22, but he was 5 for 11 from 3, 14 for 15 from the free throw line. That really helped. He was getting to the line and hitting his shots. 16 from Zoo with 12 rebounds. Just an average game from him. Kobe Sanders played a decent amount of minutes in this one. Again, 11 points from him. The big thing to talk about in this one, aside from, we'll break down the last kind of possession in a second, but Derek Jones Jr. goes down in this one after getting his legs swiped at by Jaylen Brown. Obviously, it wasn't intentional. I think it was a little bit of a reckless play. Jaylen Brown was nowhere near the ball. It didn't need to happen. I thought it was stupid. Derek Jones goes down in some really severe pain, leaves the game, comes back to watch the game in crutches. The news came out the following day that Derek Jones had an MCL sprain and is going to miss at least 6 weeks, which is just a tough blow to a team that was already down, one of their better defenders, if not their best defender in Kawhi Leonard, and then another really important 3-and-D starter for the Clippers. It was just tough. You knew it was going to be bad by the way that Derek Jones reacted. I was glad that it wasn't anything torn, but we'll see. He'll be reevaluated in 6 weeks, so we'll see what the verdict is on that when that time comes. But just an unfortunate loss to lose DJ. And then, from the Celtics, eight threes from Pritchard. He was really good. Jaylen Brown had his probably best defensive game of the season. It was really solid in that department. But it was the Boston 3 party all day long. 8 for 13 from Peyton Pritchard, 4 for 7 from Brown, 4 for 4 from Derek White, 2 for 2 from Jordan Walsh. Oh wait, no, I'm reading the free throws. I'm so sorry. 4 for 8 from Derek White, 1 for 7 from Brown, 8 for 13 from Peyton Pritchard. Those guys were lighting it up. Luka Garza kind of outplayed Zoo in this one, which was really kind of shitty to see. What were your takeaways, Rolla, in this one?
My only takeaway on this one, and I am going to keep being critical of our coaching staff because I think that they've been doing a horrible job this season. I believe there was a comment made that the game plan was to keep Peyton Pritchard from scoring and
Well, that didn't happen.
Exactly, and that the team goes as Peyton Pritchard goes. Peyton Pritchard hit 8 threes, and the rest of the team, I mean, like you said, Derek White had 4 threes. Jaylen Brown didn't have a great score, didn't have a great 3-point night, but I mean, he was able to score in other ways. You know, their bench had a couple threes, but that, like, to have a game plan and to, like, your team just completely, like, doesn't do it. I feel like there's a communication problem or something going on. Like, if that was the case, I would expect. Put. Right, I would like. How is he able to even put up 13, like, 3-pointers? Like to throw up 13 3-pointers? If that's the mentality that you gave your team, hey, we stopped this dude from shooting, and this guy has the space to put up 13. I genuinely don't really understand what is going on with the Clippers. These games are being lost because the leadership isn't there. The team and the coaching staff aren't on the same page. In addition, the team doesn't want it at all. And that's why we keep losing this games, in my opinion. So, I mean,
the Clippers, real quick,
this one.
The Clippers were down 24, and literally the last possession of the game was a beautiful play drawn up by Ty Lue to full court pass to Zoo. Zoo was able to get it to James Harden, got a clean look. James Harden had hit 2 threes, I believe, prior to that. It's the guy you want to take the shot, and just missed it. In a game where you're down 21 or 24, and you cut the lead to that small of that small of a margin, had we just ratcheted up the defense a little bit on Peyton Pritchard, we probably would have won that game. You know, and granted, Pritchard gets in a flow. He's one of those guys that gets in a flow state where he'll kind of just throw shit up and it'll go in. I get that. He's a fantastic shooter, really, really good player. But some of these shots were, like, to Rolo's point, some of these shots were open. There's just not there's a lack of communication on the players' side on the court, on the floor. And then I do think that the coaching staff does deserve blame for this, where you have to have a concise defensive scheme. Guys shouldn't be beating you backdoor, or guys shouldn't be just running a simple, brush screen or pin down to try and get, like, a wide open 3 without, something, a counter to that. Like, the defense, like, we've talked about it ad nauseum. The Clippers were supposed to get back to their defensive identity that really won them so many games last year and allowed them to really have a special season. And they haven't shown even an ounce of that consistently. It shows up in spurts. Obviously, the Clippers went on a huge run down the stretch of this game and almost tied it. But it's not consistent, and it's on the players and it's on the coaching staff. And there needs to be, at the very least, we're limited on offense, right? But at the very least, there needs to be just a sense of pride on the defensive end.
Right.
Because you can win games if you just shore things up on that end. On the defensive side alone, you can win games. And this game could have been won had the Clippers paid a little bit more attention on defense. It sucks because this was the first night of a back-to-back. Had the Clippers handled business, maybe they would have been able to give James Harden and Zoo some rest. But that wasn't the case. The Clippers had to play literally to the final possession, and then they went on to face the 76ers the following game. This one was another close game. Yep. And honestly, before I talk about this game, I want to say that this back-to-back was, there were a lot of positives in this one. The Clippers made both games very close. It went down to the last possession. Very gritty performances during some of the quarters, during portions of the game. And normally, if the Clippers were 5-5, or they were, 5-6 or 6-5, whatever, you would take these games and say, hey, second night of a back-to-back, they just got outperformed. They didn't have the gas. But the Clippers don't have that fucking luxury anymore. They don't have that luxury because of how poorly they started the season. So it sucks. We as Clipper fans, it's hard to even come away with moral victories anymore, because at the end of the day, the Clippers are 4-10, and it's been a complete and utter 180 from what we had expected. And I didn't have a ton of expectations from this season, but it is absolutely so far away from what we thought we would see this season. But really quickly, to recap this Philadelphia 76ers game, 110-108. This was probably the best first half of Clipper basketball I've seen all season, at least from what I can remember. The Clippers started out, also, just to touch on this was Paul George's first game back. Obviously, he wanted to come back against his former team. Paul George was hot early, but didn't do a whole lot for the rest of the game. He contributed in other ways, but so the Philadelphia 76ers get out to, I believe, a 5-0 lead, and then the Clippers go on a 14-2 or 14-0 run. And the Clippers looked really, really good. There were a lot of really good things that came from this game. The first of which is Kobe Sanders got his first start of his NBA career in Derrick Jones's absence.
He's been good.
And he looked great. He was contributing. CP3 started the second quarter. He looked okay. CP3 hit a big three down the stretch late. But it was cool to see Chris Paul back. Clippers went on a 19-5 run in that first quarter. Bogey was missing shots, but he looked aggressive. Chris Dunn had a poster dunk on Andre Drummond. Like, the Clippers finished the first half up 10. Like, it was really, really sound, especially from that first quarter. But that was a really solid first half from the Clippers. And, like, down the stretch, yet again, I think this one was very similar to what I touched on in the Mavericks game, where the Clippers just didn't really get enough down the stretch from their other guys offensively.
Right.
A lot of missed shots. 28 from James Harden, so it wasn't like a huge game from him. He was wildly inefficient as well, 7 for 25. But again, you know, he was on the second night of a back-to-back, played 37 minutes, and, you know, really gave the Clippers a chance. The bright spot to me in this one, though, was Kobe Sanders, who in his first start put up 17 points, was 5 for 11 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, 4 for 4 from the free throw line. He had off a James Harden missed 3, he had a putback that would have been 2 free throws, but it ended up getting challenged. It was determined that Zoo had pushed Drummond into Kobe Sanders, and they reversed the call. It would have been I think if he had hit both those free throws, it would have tied the game. But yeah, a really just poor effort from Zoo in this one too. Zoo got outplayed by Andre Drummond in 2025, which is something that I never thought I would hear. But that is the case. And then Tyrese Maxey just did what he does down the stretch. 39 points from him. So good. He was kind of their biggest source of offense. He is incredible. He was their biggest source of offense down the stretch. Quentin Grimes hit a big 3 or a couple big 3s down the stretch. But again, the Clippers had a chance to win this one. They drew up a play for James Harden after a challenge that gave Clippers possession with about 11 seconds left. James Harden had a chance to hit a 3. He was fouled. It was determined in the 2-minute report, which was bullshit. But he did get the rebound, got a chance to shoot another 3, and then missed that one. So had James Harden been whistled for the foul, he would have had a chance to win the game at the free throw line. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, you go down the line, 3 for 7 from Nico Batum. He hit a couple big ones late, but 1 for 3 from Brook Lopez, 1 for 6 from Bogey. Bogey had a really quiet night offensively. Yeah, just 11 points from John Collins. It just the Clippers need more.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know what else to say, bro. Like, do you have anything else to say?
Yeah,
other than that?
I mean, thing about the Clippers, especially like these last couple games, is I feel like there isn't a sense of urgency or like a sense of like, okay, like we've been losing these last couple games. Let's have a perfect game. Like if this Clippers team has a perfect game, they're winning this game. You know what I mean? Like,
well, if they even had like a moderately good game from other guys.
But it's like, all right, the Clippers should blow out at this point. Their motivation should be to blow out the next fucking team. Blow them the fuck out of the water. We hit every single shot. Obviously, they're not going to hit every single shot, but hit your shots, hit your open shots, stay focused, and play like you want it, and the win will come. I mean, I just don't really understand Like you said, like how is Zoo getting outplayed? Where's that motivation? You've been losing. You haven't really been playing with that much passion this year. I mean, like this should be an easy matchup for you. It's Andre Drummond. The dude is like pretty much on his way out of the league, if we're being honest. I mean, he might be back after this performance.
He was. I was gonna say
Like
he was.
So it's just a little bit frustrating. Obviously, James Harden, you can't put too much on him because of what he's done for us these past couple games. But yeah, like I don't know, and I don't want to hear the excuse like, oh, the last shot of the game like should have been a foul. Like, I mean, the refs don't call everything.
Yeah, that's just a small fragment.
It is what it is. Like, this game shouldn't even come down to that singular shot.
Sure.
So I don't know. Like, refs are always gonna make mistakes. Refs are always gonna, like, you can't count on the refs to win you the game, which I think is a fault of James Harden, and which usually comes to bite him in the ass in the playoffs because he always is looking for that foul from that help from the refs, which they usually don't give to him. But that's another conversation for another day. But what I really, really liked was Kobe Sanders. I mean, I think that he has really...
he was so aggressive.
Yeah, he's really been a really bright spot. It might be the silver lining to all of the injuries we've gotten. This is kind of like...
I would not be shocked if he got a guaranteed contract. He's on a two-way right now.
This is the kind of player... and these are the kind of opportunities that I want to see, which is why I keep pushing for the exile of James Harden, Kawhi, and basically all of the older players on our team. Just because I'm done watching. Like, it's cool to see James Harden go off. But at the end of the day, I'd rather see Kobe Sanders. Like, I'd rather see Kobe Sanders and Jordan Miller go off in a loss than James Harden, have a triple double in a loss. Like, we've seen James Harden have, like, the dude almost pretty much averages a triple double for his career. So I mean, like, it's very normal for James Harden, but it's not normal for Kobe Sanders to have 17 points, and that's something that actually interests me at this point. And
credit to Ty Lue for electing to go with some of the younger guys in this stretch. Like, I do have to give him credit for that. And I think that, like, Ty Lue does have a really difficult job right now because, again, it all boils down to Kawhi Leonard and Kawhi Leonard not being available. But I'll touch on that in a second, Rolla. I like the energy that you're giving, and I want to turn that into I think we're probably done with the 76ers game. I want to turn that into and you already touched on it, but, like, let's get a vibe check. For lack of a better term, let's get a vibe check. What have you like? What do you think of the team right now? Because, like, I think it's encapsulated kind of with what you said. You want to see the younger guys play. They're getting playing time and they're showing glimmers of something, right? With a team that's, like, just starved for energy and for youth, youth contributions and stuff like that. So give me your vibe check.
I mean, I feel like I've kind of been, harping on this, and I almost feel like a broken record at this point. But on that sense, I have been, at the forefront of the get rid of everyone mentality. I think the Clippers need to be proactive rather than reactive. I think when you look at a franchise like the Lakers, I feel like they're always proactive. They're always looking for the next person, which I think is why they've been such a dynasty for so long, being able to win so many championships.
Well, they were also given Luka for fucking nothing.
But, like,
so
the thing is, the front office was still looking for that next step. I think if that offer even came to the Clippers front office, I don't know if they take that. You know what I mean? So
I don't know about that.
I mean,
I think that's a poor example.
I'm
going to be honest. That was a generationally bad. That was the worst trade. That was the worst trade in maybe sports history.
A poor example, but
going
when you look at the Lakers team, they're pretty fucking young, dude. Like, the guys that go off for them are like, they're not like the veterans on the team. I feel like
because they didn't have to trade any of their youth.
Exactly, but I'm just saying, like,
Like
I'm
so,
just saying that it just seems like the Clippers are stuck in the era of. I mean, there was the whole the Battle of LA, Kawhi and Paul George
yeah,
versus LeBron and AD.
100%.
That Lakers team is like completely. I think LeBron.
That Lakers team won a
Exactly,
championship
and
in
I
that
think
time.
I think LeBron is
Yeah.
the only person from that Lakers team, and I think no, Zoo was on that Clippers team. But I feel like we're still stuck in that era with Kawhi. I think Kawhi still has the keys to the franchise, whereas on the Lakers, I don't think LeBron really has the keys to the franchise anymore. So I feel like we got to be moving on to the next era. We got to give the younger guys a chance to shine, give the younger guys a chance to prove that they deserve to be on the next era of the Clippers. And that's kind of where how I feel, like my vibe check on this current Clippers. But I did want to really quickly talk about a clip I watched earlier today, where Boogie Cousins in his podcast. I don't know if it was recorded today or last week or whatever, but
I think I know what you're talking
he was
about.
talking about the Clippers and Ty Lue as a coach, and he was saying because we all know Boogie Cousins was a Clipper once upon a time. He would just say the Clippers and Ty Lue as a coach don't really have that mentality of we expect greatness. And I'm paraphrasing, of course. I don't know exactly what he said, or I can't remember exactly
Sure.
what he said. Basically, he was saying after a really bad loss, Ty Lue would just be like, okay, everyone would just go home and that would be that, rather than, on other teams, they would be really pushing to be better the next game. And I think that is very apparent in the Clippers currently, and which is why I feel like, I kind of mentioned how I'm expecting the Clippers to come out the next game and have the mentality should be we are having a perfect game. We are blowing this team out. We don't give a fuck. This is playoff level energy that we put out, and we're winning this fucking game. And I'm not seeing that. And I think I'm bringing that Boogie Cousins clip up because it just feels like the Clippers are losing these games. They're going back to their hotels. They're having they're not really caring about what's going on, and they're coming back out and losing the next game because they don't really have that oh shit, we are in deep shit right now. Of course, it's the beginning of the season, but there's not that mentality of okay, we got to win the next game. And I think that's a pretty big reason why we're losing. I think that goes back to coaching. Like I mentioned, the leadership, it's just not there. I just don't see it. And then also that connects back to the fans, man. You can't just let
It always
connects back to the fans, because we can't just let these this team, just be shit. You know what I mean? I like to compare the Clippers to franchises such as the Lakers, because they're literally in the same city as us. The Warriors, the Celtics, those high level franchises. The Warriors, I mean, I can't remember the last time they've been a shit team to this level. I think it might have been.
They were a couple years randomly where they were really bad, but then they bounced back.
I think it was the year Steph Curry broke his fucking hand, and it was just Draymond.
I can't even remember.
I think it was literally only Draymond Green that was healthy on that team, because Klay Thompson had tore his ACL. So I think it was it was basically one of those throwaway years. But it's just, I think the fans can't be giving the Clippers an excuse to just be bad. We kind of got to put that pressure on. If they're playing poorly, boo them at the fucking stadium. I mean, this is what Warriors fans do. This is what the fucking Lakers fans do when their team is not playing up to the fucking standard that they set. We got to set a standard. We have James Harden on the team. We cannot be losing these little games, dude. I don't know, man.
I'm going to interject real quick. I agree that there has been a complete lack of effort. I can't put James Harden. My qualms with James Harden are elsewhere. But I do see a lack of urgency, I don't see a lack of urgency from him. I really think that he's shown that he wants to win these games. He's shown it both like, post game in his frustrations and then on the floor. But I think what it really boils down to is Kawhi is not healthy yet again, and I'm hoping that he comes back next game against the Orlando Magic because it's been about 8 games that he's missed, and yet again, guys are having to pick up the pieces while Kawhi Leonard is nursing an injury, and James Harden can't do everything, and that was the reason why James Harden was brought to the team was because Paul George couldn't handle consistently. Paul George has had his moments where he was god tier for the Clippers, but Paul George couldn't consistently handle taking over the mantle as the number one option while Kawhi Leonard rehabbed injuries. So we brought in Russ, we brought in James Harden, and then Paul George dips, and now James Harden's been bestowed with the task of, okay, now I have to be the guy while Kawhi Leonard sits. So I do feel for James Harden in the respect of like, this was never really supposed to be his role. And he can do it, and he's showed that he can do it. And he's put us in really good position the last couple of games to win these games. But at the end of the day, it boils down to Kawhi Leonard not being healthy. Which, it's not Kawhi's fault. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And it's something that Clipper fans have had to deal with year after year. And it sucks. And and that's why I understand,
Can I ask a question?
Your perspective.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you think that it's the way Kawhi prepares for the season or prepares for NBA games that might be the cause of his injury or his injuries?
I don't like you mean like he goes all out like in his preparations and stuff.
No, maybe he doesn't stretch enough.
Because from what I understand from everybody,
do certain types of exercises enough.
Yeah. From everything that I've heard, Kawhi Leonard's preparation is like second to none. And I think the dude works like an insane person to try and get back on the court. I think it's just his body failing him. And that's not his fault. But at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. He's hamstringing the team every time that he's nursing an injury. So it's just like, it's a vicious, it's this perpetual hell that the Clippers have to go through. And I don't want to put blame on one person or the other, but it is the reality of the situation. And so I understand the perspective that you have of wanting to rebuild. And my only caveat with the rebuild discussion is that the Clippers don't own their own draft stock. I think if the Clippers owned their own pick this year, they would have already hit the reset button. I really do. But sorry, did you have something to say? And then I have one more question for you before we get into previews.
I actually have a question for you. Kind of based off that theme of injuries. I saw a list a little bit ago before we started this pod of notable players that are currently out with an injury, and I will list them for you. And kind of, we've talked about it in the past, but if you could give a couple words on your opinions of why so many players are injured to start the season. We have Giannis, Wembanyama, Anthony Davis, Kawhi, obviously, Joel Embiid, Zion, Trae Young, John Morant, Paolo Banchero, Darius Garland, Jalen Green with that hamstring, Brandon Miller, Cam Thomas, Tyler Hero, OG Anunoby, Jaden Ivey, Christian Brown, Kelly Oubre, Bradley Beal, obviously out for the season, Jordan Poole, and then, the players that got injured last season, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, Kyrie, Damian Lillard, Fred VanVleet got injured over the summer, DeJounte Murray, just a lot of big names that are currently injured. And wanted to ask you, why do you think that's the case? Why do you think that 15 games into the season, or are we 15 games? 12, 13, 12?
Yeah, 14, 15.
Games into the season that so many of these big name players are out for the count.
Yeah, I mean, if I knew the answer, I would probably be emailing the league office right now. But I think from what I just understand and from what I feel, I mean, it's a lot of factors, but I think the biggest one is the way that the NBA is played obviously Adam Silver has tried to make offense a premium and fast-paced offense a
Right.
premium. That is a byproduct of the Steph Curry Golden State Warriors era, where they played fast and they played quick
Please.
and and they were zipping around the court. Adam Silver has made that a premium in the NBA, and so players play really, really fast and really explosive, and it's a lot of back and forth, pistol offense, and with that, there is a lot more wear and tear on on individuals' bodies. The game is no longer really a half court game; it's a fast break game, transition threes. Obviously, I'm not saying that teams can't play in the half court, but it's a very quick game, and that's hard on players' bodies. That paired with an 82 game season, with all of the travel, which doesn't allow players to rest, maybe as much as they should. Also, that paired with the more maybe sedentary lifestyle that not the Clippers. I mean, the Clippers, yes. The sedentary lifestyle that NBA players have during the off seasons where they maybe are not as active as they used to be. They're more, sitting around, podcasting, this and that. I think all of those factors are a contribution. And I think the biggest factor specific to this year is we saw what happened to Tyrese Halliburton in the finals. Probably the most devastating injury in terms of timeliness and in terms of like being the end result of like what was maybe one of the most unassuming runs that a single player has been on in the playoffs in a long time. The devastation from that injury and the fact that he was listed having calf soreness or quad soreness like several games before, and he went out and he played. I think a lot of teams are being extra cautious, especially with lower leg injuries, because of what we saw last year that came to a head when we saw Tyrese Halliburton tear his Achilles in a game that he could have won and gave the Pacers their first championship.
But how could he have won
And
that if he didn't play?
well, that's what I'm saying. Is if he played, then he could have won, but he didn't. He tore his Achilles, and so I think a lot of teams are looking at that and they're playing it super cautious with quad injuries or calf injuries or lower leg injuries. I think it's a lot of different things. I don't think there's one good answer, but I think the biggest thing is the wear and tear that players nowadays put on their bodies with how the game is played.
Interesting. I think that I feel like you mentioned the sedentary lifestyle. I think that this might be a case of the players just aren't, and I don't want to say this because I'm not there. Like I don't know what
Sure.
an NBA workout is like. I've never watched one. I've never been with Kawhi what at his workouts or whatever. I just find it like hard to believe that these players are ready to go at the beginning of the season if there are so many injuries to start the season. And maybe there's just no way for them to reenact NBA level speed outside of like maybe going to play in different countries, kind of like how the WNBA players do. So I think they come into the season and jump straight from level 5 to level 10, and their bodies can't handle that extreme change all of a sudden, and they get injured to start the season. And kind of to go back to your Halliburton comment, Halliburton did say that he was aware of the risks, and the reason why he played was because he felt like the risk was worth like
The
exactly.
reward.
He knew that like the doctors told him like, hey, this is very much something that could happen. And he went out there and still played. And same thing happened to switching sports really quick to Odell Beckham Jr. in the Rams championship game, the Super Bowl. He ended up tearing his ACL, and the doctors had told OBJ, hey, your ACL is already torn. His ACL was torn going into the game. And he was like, Like when you're that much of a competitor, I
Sure.
just don't think that that's something that's going to hold you back. Like you can't be
Totally.
afraid of getting injured. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it was very
Totally.
devastating to see. Like even I was rooting for OKC, and I was pretty bummed to see it because I wanted to see a good game for Game 7. But that's just something that you kind of have to risk as a player, and that was one thing that I kind of held against Paul George was I feel like he would, and this is kind of selfish to say as a fan, but I feel like he always prioritized not getting injured to playing for the Clippers or maybe like winning us a series or going out there and kind of like sure the doctors say, hey, don't do this, but like, hey, I'm getting paid $20 million over the year to be out there. Like let me go out there. Yeah, if I get injured, then it is what it is. I rehab, and hopefully I can come back the same way. But you don't get a lot of these chances. Like Tyrese knew, like he might never be back there again. So it's kind of like one of those things where he had to take. But kind of going back to the injuries thing as a whole, I just feel like it just sucks to see as a fan all of these players getting injured. And
Sure.
I think that
It's
there's
awful.
got to be more research put into the level of exercising, the level of conditioning these players got to get to be ready for the start of the season. And if they're not at that level, I don't know if there's some sort of like exam or test they can run through or whatever, a combine or whatever. If they're not like up to that speed, like these medics got to be like, hey, you're not at level 10, you're at level 5. If you go in 15 games in, you will probably get injured. So I don't know, we're in 2025. I don't know. They've got to have some sort of analytics to figure out how they can, keep these players from getting injured. I mean, Kawhi can't be spraining his ankle and then having foot problems and all this shit. And we're 5 games into the season, dude. Like, I don't know. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that players should be allowed to play through these things. It's just, to my point, it was more so I think that teams are holding their players back to prevent stuff like that. If it isn't like a season ending or very serious
Right.
injury, but I mean, yeah, it sucks. And at the going back to the Clippers full circle, like it happens to Kawhi a lot, and that's why the Clippers are faced with not the only reason, but that is a big part of the reason why the Clippers are faced with a four win, 10 loss, record. And it sucks. What's going to happen to the Clippers? I don't know. The last thing, actually, also, I just wanted to say we're probably not going to really touch on previews in this one, just because what are we going to preview? The Clippers have been unpredictably bad, so just wanted to say the Clippers play on Thursday. They play Orlando, then they play Charlotte, and then they play Cleveland. And we'll probably talk to you guys after that Cleveland game. But I mean, two of those are games that I think the Clippers have a good shot of winning. But again, I mean, we don't. There's no way to predict. I don't even know if Kawhi's playing in the next game. So I'm gonna say that I hope that the Clippers do well, and I hope that the younger guys play more. That's what I got. And sorry for all the doom and gloom, guys, but I really don't know what else to say. The last thing I wanted to say was there was a report that came out. Keith Smith, who's an NBA analyst, was giving his 2 cents on the Clippers scenario, and he was saying he was basically talking about how the Clippers are currently expected to have 67.6 million in cap space this summer, and that you should basically bet on changes coming this summer. And then he went on to say a hard reset is coming either this year or next year. If the Clippers delayed until 2027, they could have a whopping 137 million in cap space, which is awesome. But that would likely mean suffering through consecutive down seasons without control of their own first round pick. Bet on moves coming this summer. So, I mean, when that happens, like the Clippers are 4-10 right now. I don't know if and when they're going to hit the panic button at any point this season. I think that I personally still think they just have to stay the course until the offseason, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Maybe Kawhi comes back and looks just as good as he was before he went out. But I mean, there's big questions that are being asked after each one of these losses for the Clippers? Is Ty Lue going to be fired? Is Lawrence Frank going to be fired? I think the question that a lot of Clippers fans haven't really asked, or maybe just haven't made public, is how much of this do we put on Steve Ballmer? Prioritizing, financial success for this team, which is great. I mean, Steve Ballmer has been night and day an absolute pleasure, especially in comparison to
Donald Sterling,
the previous owner that the Clippers had, Donald Sterling, who is just a bigoted, cheap fuck. It's been awesome. Steve Ballmer's been awesome in terms of his contributions to this franchise. But at some point, when do we have to ask ourselves, okay, like, is he prioritizing the team as a business over a successful team and a team that gives fans something to cheer about? All of these questions are valid, and all of them, I'm sure, are swirling around the heads of many Clipper fans right now, myself included. I'm sure Rolla is saying the same thing. So I guess the closing statement that I have is, let's just hope that the Clippers find it within themselves to give themselves a shot. If this team isn't torn down mid-season, I really just hope that the Clippers are able to get back to basketball that allows them to give themselves a shot in games like the ones that we saw against the 76ers and the Celtics, and then just getting back to playing like basketball that fans can be proud of, right? We'll take a loss if Kawhi Leonard's not playing, and if Derrick Jones is out for 6 weeks and Bradley Beal's out for the season. We'll take a loss as long as we can say, hey, we were proud of the effort that we saw from our guys out there, and we just haven't seen that for the most part. So a lot of questions without any answers, Clipper fans, but we're here to provide our input and give our best reason as to why we see the things that we see on the court every time that the Clippers play. Rolla, did you want to really quickly, before we send our viewers out, do you want to talk about a sweepstakes that we're going to be doing coming up for the month of November and possibly continuing on?
Yeah, so we will be doing another sweepstakes. We're about to be giving out some of this Clip Service Pod merch.
Get it shining in the light just right. There we go.
Yeah. You guys are going to need to subscribe. We'll be giving out sweatshirt for every single game where the Clippers hold their opponent to less than 100 points, which has not happened.
And they have to take the win.
And they also have to win, which has not happened recently.
Both of those things haven't happened much.
For the rest of the year, we'll be giving away. You can get yourself one of these sweatshirts with that Clip Service Pod logo on the back. We got colors pink, tan, and blue. So make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you comment. Make sure you like our videos, and you can be in the running to win one of these. So.
Yes, absolutely. We'll probably be giving away, let's hope that we give away a bunch of them, because we haven't really had much of an opportunity to do that based on the criteria. Yeah. But yeah, guys, so like Rolla said, hold the opponent below 100 points, take the win, and then we will talk about it. If that game does happen, then we will talk about that in the episode, and then we'll announce winners the following episode. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Just another reason to hope that the Clippers play well. If there wasn't already plenty of reasons, there's another one for you. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This episode ran a little bit longer. If you guys are not watching this on YouTube, Rolla is flashing our merch to the camera right now. Very happy to give these away. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening. This pod did run a little bit longer than we had thought, but I think that we covered a lot of ground, and I think this is stuff that has all been on our minds. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. As Rolla said up top, you can watch us on YouTube, find us on Twitter and on Instagram at Clip Service Pod. We're on most streaming platforms, Spotify, Deezer, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And yeah, guys, please feel free to subscribe, like, comment, and then, when the Clippers do hold their opponent to below 10, definitely make sure that you guys are getting involved in that.
Below 100.
But yeah, it ain't... Oh, what did I say? Oh, yeah, they're playing that grit and grind Grizzly defense, baby. Holding the opponents below 10. That'd be insane. I don't even think the Clippers could hold like a high school team below 10 at this point. But
they probably could, dude.
Maybe. They'd have to be like a pretty mediocre high
Yeah.
school team. But hey, it's certainly possible. It ain't no lip service, guys. This has been Clip Service. And Rolla, what do we say to the folks listening?
Go Clippers.